In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, peace be upon you. Apologies, I speak slowly. To speed up this video, click on settings and select a suitable speed. Now, before I talk about Pakistan's debt and what they can do about it, I want to mention something that happened. My husband recruited a Pakistani gardener. Now, he was telling me that he was going to organize things in the garden, and that he, looking at the dead leaves on the floor, he said he would get rid of this dirt. I stopped him and said, this isn't dirt. This is Allah's wealth. This is the true wealth any human can have. And when he heard me say that, he laughed and said, you are obviously my master, suggesting that I'm more of a know-it-all compared to him. Now, Allahu Akbar, I actually believe he understood what I was saying to a deeper level. Dead leaves are the wealth of Allah. They provide the nutrition for new growing plants after they decompose. The growing plants provide food for animals and people. And obviously we need food to live. The dirt of the earth actually provides us with water, food, shelter and clothes. Everything that we truly need. Now, the Jahil, or ignorant people, get suckered in by the Western monetary system, and they don't understand this. They think that they need money. Really, we don't need money to live. We need to be content with the earth and what it produces from within it. And if you be content with that, you will never be indebted to the Western monetary system that gives you rubbish, PS4s and dolls and toys, and it's just rubbish. It is absolute rubbish. But I do understand, and for those that are suckered in and believe money is important, I have created a 10-point plan on the oncoming slides. And before I discuss the 10-point plan to help Pakistan and other countries get out of debt, I want to say another thing, or a few more things. If you say you want jobs, okay, which is what we're told on television, or so such and such people are revolting against their government because they want jobs, you will become slaves of Western corporations, and your roles will be the roles of the staff members who feed people burgers in McDonald's. Sometimes you have revolutions saying, oh, in the West they've got technology and our government is corrupt, we have no technology. You will find Western businesses will start spying on everything you do and dropping bombs via drones on you. United States never went to the moon, by the way. These are lies to make us believe they are powerful when they are actually not. If you cry for hospitals and medicines, what will happen is your women will be injected with poisons so they can't have babies. That is what hospitals and medicines are for. Or your babies will be injected with poisons so they are ill for the rest of their lives. That is what hospitals and medicines are for in the West. If you cry for housing, you will be put into small cages and treated like pigs. If you see the people of New York, they live in cages, and I've got a picture at the bottom right hand side to show you the huge cages that they build, and there's cages inside those cages. This is what Western societies are all about, and this is how poor people are treated in the West. They're slaves to work at McDonald's and other factories. They are spied upon. Okay, most of the bombing they do is in the Middle East when your people start asking for technology, but I'm sure bombing will start in the West as well. What goes around comes around. And hospitals and medicines in the West are actually designed to make people ill. And they're also there to kill old people quickly. And as I said, the housing is just cages. So I show you the two pictures. The Pakistani farmers in the field working together as a community. Is that better, or living in cages all alone and lonely in filth? I'm warning you, you mustn't let the devil deceive you. So, how to help Pakistan get out of debt? Number one thing is to pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides you to halal earnings and guides you to living an interest-free life so that you're not paying Western banks interest. And number two, if any country wants any favour from Pakistan, it needs to fund the cost of the favour and pay $1 billion on top of the costs that are incurred. This should be used to pay off Pakistan's debt. Now, especially if a US or European citizen is imprisoned for crimes and the Western countries want them freed, they must pay at least $1 billion to get these people free. And never be a proxy army for the US or any Western country, or allow their bases, even if they offer billions of pounds. The leaders are committing war crimes. They are killing believers. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will punish us for supporting their injustice. Even if they were killing disbelievers in China or anywhere else, they are oppressing people. That is inhumane and it is unrighteous. Allah does not approve of such things. If point 3, if US, Britain, Israel or France want anything, ignore them until they agree to give you the power to print their money. Okay, so this is very important. We should be given a free license to print Western money, especially US dollars. Otherwise, they can forget us negotiating anything with them. You know, I think US is actually the most hated country on earth. Both Israel and America. I'm sure the people of America are very nice people, but because of the terrorist activities of the US throughout the world, it is a terrorist state. Because of its state-sponsored terrorism, you know, its flag gets burnt every day of the week by so many different countries. Point 3. If Western businesses wish to set up in Pakistan, example Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Nestle, McDonald's, etc., they need to pay $1 billion for the privilege and have to have a native Pakistani business owning over 50% of the venture. So they need to give 50% of the business to Pakistani nationals. Really, the above companies are Yajuj Majuj Zionist Khanzir, who fund the murder of Palestinians and other people throughout the world. So really, they should never be permitted to set up in Pakistan, as they pollute the land. They pollute the land in terms of their ungodliness, and they also actually literally pollute water supplies, so that you prefer to drink their Coca-Cola and Pepsi rather than the pure God-given water. And as well as this, they are actually using dead babies in their food and drink. And you can find information about this on the internet. Really, it is the major corporations that do this, and I've got a list of them underneath as well: Nestle, Pepsi, Kraft, Starbucks, Tropicana. They're really evil corporations who worship Satan and sacrifice babies for wealth and power. Number 4. A facility needs to be set up whereby Pakistanis at home and abroad are able to provide interest-free loans to the Pakistani government, especially since there is little taxation in Pakistan and some Pakistanis are extremely wealthy, so they're able to support the government in that way rather than paying the IMF or World Bank. You may as well be paying back the Pakistanis that are helping run the economy. Step 5. Pakistan needs to set up an Islamic cooperative of countries which raise funds as and when needed by a country, which is interest-free. This organisation would replace IMF and World Bank in the Islamic world and run like a committee providing interest-free funds to developing countries. To each other, basically. I know my husband runs what they call a committee, and they circulate funds. Him and his friends circulate funds amongst each other. They all put into it every week, and then I think maybe every month one of them takes out the funds, so that they have a large amount of money. that they can do whatever they like with, whether they choose to buy a house, buy a business, etc. Number 6. American and European visitors should pay extra taxes visiting Pakistan, and that includes myself until I become a permanent resident in Pakistan, especially if their fellow countrymen have committed acts of terrorism in Pakistan in the past. Example, the Israeli Zionists have, Indians have, via the RAW agency, US citizens, and the British Raj did, so the British are guilty. £1,000 should be okay. If it's a dignitary, more money should be demanded. For instance, Mattis or Kerry or Kissinger, they should be charged several £1,000,000 to visit. They are a waste of space, they are terrorists and troublemakers, so they need to be kept in enclosures near the airport to avoid them taking part in acts of terrorism or giving instructions to ISIS, which are their paid mercenaries. Action plan number 7. If Western leadership wish to visit Pakistan, examples I said earlier, but there are others, including Trump, etc. Ensure they sleep in a bed with sheets infected with a disease like cholera or tuberculosis or something, perhaps more serious like AIDS. This is actually what they did to the Native Americans. And also insist that they get injected at the airport for some made-up disease. Really, you're going to inject them with a drug to make them sterile and impotent if they are not already. I'm sure Kissinger and Trump are impotent already, but just in case, it's best to inject them. This is actually the sort of thing white supremacists in US and Israel have done to other people, darker skinned people throughout the world. I'm sure they would have used that technique in Australia as well. On top of injecting them, charge them another 1,000 or so, because they've already paid $1,000,000 or so to get into our country, so charge them another few thousand to be injected. If these Western white supremacist politicians happen to die in Pakistan, charge $1 billion for the return of their corpses to the US or UK or Palestine, wherever they've come from. And I've included 2 images in which in one it talks about how smallpox blankets were given to the Native Americans, and the other is a print from a YouTube video which discusses Israel giving a dangerous birth control injection to black people. I've just repeated point 7 here on this slide, and this is what people are saying about Mad Dog Mattis. He's been hired to exterminate Muslims, so they don't deserve any kindness, not really. They're quite evil, Gog and Magog, anti-Christian, satanic Khanzir. Point 8 is that we should advertise Pakistan as a wonderful place to go and see or live in, but we do have to check people from certain countries at the airport thoroughly, because there are a lot of terrorists in the US and UK and Israel, and perhaps some in India, that have been funded by America. I honestly don't blame India directly for the terrorism in Pakistan. It's I do feel they've got infiltration from US and UK and Israel, and that they need to control it. Western countries take part in all sorts of false advertising. You know, they portray London as a brilliant place. You know, if you go to London, and now and again I've had to go, by the end of the day my nose is irritated, and when I blow my nose, black stuff comes out of my nose after being in London. It is very filthy and grimy in London, and New York is disgusting. I mean, I don't even think they can portray it nicely, even in their films. Usually they're showing something indoor, because outdoor it's ugly place. You can't see the horizon, it's just buildings everywhere. To me, things that are natural are beautiful, but where they've got these Western cities, they're such ugly places. Point 9, you need to unite with Islamic countries to create the Caliphate. So, you know, there can be a representative from each country, as long as Saudi Arabia maintains good links with UK and Israel and US, it is going to be a problem, and Saudi Arabia needs to be dealt with. So the Islamic countries need to unite against this and have a combined caliphate ruling over Saudi Arabia, because otherwise US can come in and bully the people within Saudi Arabia. So we need a united international caliphate and international force in Saudi Arabia, and this is what Pakistan needs to work towards. I do think that the Israeli Secret Intelligence Service, ISIS, did get one thing right. They, you know, drew up a map of the countries that would be part of the Caliphate, and I think they've done a good starting point. Inshallah, it will go beyond these. I pray that Allah guides you, protects you, and gives you peace. May Allah guide the Gog and Magog, anti-Christian, Satanists, and the devil. May children be a source of peace for parents, and parents be a source of peace for children. And may I be a source of peace for all. And may I be martyred defending the vulnerable. Allahu Akbar and Allah Hafiz.